Welcome back, and I certainly hope you are catching up, because if you didn't join us last week, we are definitely going to be inspiring you on part 2 of this story. In studio, I have a gentleman by the name of Kekeletso, who's coming to speak to us about some of the dangers he faced that changed his life forever. And hopefully, he's going to change Impilo Yako, who is sitting there saying, Guti, my life has been changed by a situation, but how do I move forward? Let's welcome him. Kekeletso, welcome to our show.
Thank you. It is safe to be here.
Oh, I love that. People who have mottos are people who are driven. It is safe to be here. Kekeletso, I want to just, for the benefit of our viewers, get a background yako yoguti. As somebody who was growing up, living his life, just before the injury took place, what was happening in your life?
Basically, when you grow up, as a person, you've got your dreams, and you want to fulfill those dreams. I trained at the mine to be an apprentice, an electrical apprentice. Completed my apprenticeship, went into a power utility company, which gave me training, proper training, in as far as safety is concerned,
yes.
with regard to the work that I was supposed to do, or what I was trained to do. And at some stage, you've got that, you're vibrant, you are young, and you want to go out there and do the best that you can. But sometimes you do forget about the safety aspects of everything that you are doing, because you just want to go and express yourself,
yes.
and do it. But sometimes we go astray and we do the wrong things.
Now, there comes a day that changes your life forever, if I may put it that way. Take us through that day.
I'll never forget that particular day. So, on a Tuesday morning, the 7th of February, 1996, it happened quite a while. You get a call. It's something that happens now and then. As a technician, you get a call, go, and the customer claims, I don't have supply, and this and that. And I went there, oblivious of it. You don't even think about everything, because you know what you're going to do. And it was a simple exercise that I was supposed to perform. A fuse was blown. It is something that can take 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes to change, and I'll be going back to the next assignment. But that did not happen. I struggled a little bit to unhook that fuse from a pole-mounted transformer, and I had choices that I should have taken. Choices that can I summon for help, or get someone to come and help me with this? But my pride said, no, you don't have to do it. I can sort this out within a short space of time. But the decision that I took at that moment was very wrong. I put on a step ladder, knowing very well that above my head, 11,000 volts was passing there. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened. The next moment, I was on the ground. 11,000 volts passed through my body, and then as I woke up, I heard screams.
To be alive, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. And I heard some screams around, and I was surprised, because I know I'm not flexible, but my left leg was right on my face, and I asked myself, what is happening? By that time, I did not realize that I've actually shattered my left hip.
Oh my goodness.
And everyone around me, the customer himself, was shouting, what is happening, what happened? And the only thing that I could feel was the smell of my flesh. And I didn't know what happened. I was taken to the nearest hospital. The next moment when I woke up, I was in bandages, in a private hospital, bandages all over, and the machines around me. I did not know what had struck me.
And this was how many days later?
Okay, it was the following day.
Okay.
But after that, it was trauma. And then I thought I woke up the next day after the incident, but it was actually 21 days, I was told later. It was 21 days later. And when I woke up, the doctor told me, David, we did not have a choice, but we had to amputate 3 of your fingers. Mind you, I'm right-handed. And I said...
Which hand was it, Baba, that was?
Yeah, this one.
So it changed completely.
It changed completely. And as a right-handed person, you ask yourself a question, how am I going to cope? I'm still young, and my life has already stopped before it began. I did not have a stable family, but I had a girlfriend and a 2-year-old daughter. So that changed, and for me, it was a struggle, just being there in hospital.
Now, for our viewers in Makaya, this is a clear indication yoguti life yako can change in a split second. Laukam nguti everything is going merrily, something comes along and says, this is where you start a whole new chapter in your life. Now, let's talk to this brand new chapter that you are now entering in your life. What were some of the changes, and most importantly, how much challenge every day?
It started when I went to see the company doctor. And the company doctor said, you know what, David, everyone around here has lost hope. They don't think you're going to come back. Tell me, I'm the person who's going to sign the paper and say, you know what, he cannot do it anymore. You know, and the doctor said to me, Kekeletso, this is what you need to do. Tell me what you want to do. And I said, I have not fulfilled my own dreams in this company. So please, let me go back. I'll take it slowly. And everyone around me, especially my then supervisor, was very much welcoming, and he said, you know what, do anything that you want to do. My manager.
So support was critical.
Support was critical, both at home, to my family, to my friends, and everyone, even my colleagues. You know what was important is it was my colleagues, and it was very bad for me to go and face my colleagues, because most of them, all of them, are still doing the same thing that changed my life. You understand? So it was very bad to go and face the world. It was very, very bad to face my colleagues. And it's something that for a long time I regretted.
Now, when you're saying it was quite bad, Khorolo face your colleagues, did this in any way result in you drawing back? Wanting to be home more, not wanting to really participate in things? Just tell me a little bit about that.
Not for a year, not for 2 years, but many years. I was, let me use the phrase, I was in the closet. I did not want to come out because, you know, facing people who knew. I come originally from the Free State, in a town called Waterville. Okay. So you can imagine when I had to go back, my former friends, my friends and everyone who knows me, start asking questions, what happened? And I had to explain that I broke rules and regulations that I knew would have helped save my life or my limb. As you mentioned correctly, that I think I'm lucky to be standing here now or talking to you about the incident that happened. It was very difficult. As I said, I was in the closet for a long time. But when you are in a closet and you still see things are happening.
Yes.
Maybe your colleagues are not doing the right things. Maybe everywhere you go, every industry that you hear of, when you research, you see people are getting injured unnecessarily so. Then for me, it is not an accident or an incident. It's actually, you are self-inflicting because you know the rules and regulations of the company, but you decided to do otherwise. And at some stage, you pay the price.
And we do this without realizing what the consequences can be.
Are very dire. The consequences are very dire. And for yourself first, and to the next person, your family, your girlfriend, your wife, your aunt, and everyone around you, it is very bad because they have to leave. They have to change their lifestyle around you. You understand? By then, my girlfriend was still at school. And you can, with a 2-year-old daughter, and it was very difficult for her, but she managed to pull me through. But on the other hand, I say I blame myself for everything that happened to me, because I was trained. I knew what I was doing was wrong.
You know, Baba, I want to hold it there because I love the fact that you bring it all back to yourself.
Correct.
And a lot of the times when bad things happen to us, we always blame the world. We blame other people. And hence we then don't do anything about it because we're still expecting the same people we are blaming to change our circumstances. Emakai, I really hope the story is moving you. I hope the story is bringing light to sometimes not being able to take shortcuts. We into OT, we are yazi. There are rules set in place to be able to achieve what we call is safety. Stay with us because these stories will be changing your life. Namhlanje. Welcome back from the ad break, and if you've just joined us, I certainly hope azanguye because these stories that we are sharing namhlanje are really touching. They are stories that will potentially transform impilo yakho and hopefully give you a new hope towards tomorrow. Ubabu Kekeletso, he's speaking to us about an injury that occurred to him while asemsebenzini, and hopefully he's going to get a little bit deeper as to how that changed the rest of his life, but also his newfound hope to change impilo yakho. Welcome back.
Thanks for that.
Now, Ndate Kekeletso, we're speaking about, obviously the day that changed your life, and we got a little bit into the days that followed or the months that followed. Now, I keep hearing the fact that, you mentioned former friends, and that sounds like a past tense. Is it in any way that motoha tola a life-changing experience or they lose a limb, that some people tend to move away or distance themselves? Did that happen to you?
Naturally so. It happened. Do I not want to dwell on that because they've got their own reasons.
Correct.
You were in a life-changing situation in which people cannot handle that. And as I mentioned, some of my friends would come to the hospital and then they will cry and they will never come back. You understand? And it broke my heart, but they will never come back. And at later stage when I asked why, and they said, no, we were, you know what, we were expecting some, I think we were thinking that you were going to die. And I also thought I was going to die. In actual fact, at some stage in my life, I was asking for it because it was very difficult for me.
Correct.
Taking tons and tons of medication, and at some stage not feeling anything that is happening within my body, pains every time, and putting everyone through the same thing that I was going through. It was very difficult for me and for everyone else. So I do not blame anyone who distanced himself or herself from me. It is very difficult.
So it is both ways difficult.
It is both ways difficult. But unfortunately, you have to get up and do something that you want to do.
Yes.
Because at some stage, being in the closet once again, you ask yourself a question. You contemplate, committing suicide because it is not working. How am I going to face everyone? How am I going to do what I'm supposed to do? I'm a trade technician. How am I going to perform my duties? It is not going to help. But you know what? You get that courage. You are on your own, and you get that courage to say, I am going to do it.
Now, I'm loving the fact that you are positive, and before we went to the break, we look at the fact that you are not blaming anybody, but you are blaming yourself. One thing I'm most interested in is what prompted that attitude, because it's only natural to point your fingers in every other direction except yourself. What prompted that? Where did that come from?
I assessed the situation. I assessed the whole incident when it happens. And I said to myself, was I trained to do it? Yes, I was trained to do it.
So
yes, in my mind. And then I said, I knew about the safety rules and regulations I was given to? Yes, I knew exactly 100%. Did I get the correct induction to do what I was doing? Yes, I knew about the induction. And it says, if you are going to do your work, you must do a risk assessment. But in my mind, as a young person, you know what, it's 5 minutes. What is 5 minutes after all? I'm going to take 10 minutes or 20 minutes to do a risk assessment, but my job is going to take 5 minutes. And unfortunately, I paid the price heavily for that. I could have paid with my life. So when I look at the whole situation, it is self-inflicting. I might say that, but it is self-inflicting.
Correct.
And to each and every person who is doing his or her work, you must understand there are hazards, there are consequences thereof. If you choose to work recklessly, chances are
you will get injured.
You'll get injured.
Or you might pay the ultimate.
You might pay the ultimate, you might die. And you must face the fact that you might die also.
Now, someone sits in your position, Are, now would have sued the company. And yet you are saying, I'm taking responsibility for it. Baba would say, because of such changes, I'm a right-handed person, will I write again? Working perhaps is a gone and forgotten dream. What kept you wanting for Oboyele? And I understand that you even went on to take on even more than you took on before you got injured. Tell us about that.
You assess the situation. What is it in there for me? Whether I keep on putting the blame on anyone else but me, or whether I continue with my life positively. You are right. Suing the company I would not win the situation because the company is not in any way involved in it. I knew the situation. It's a very dangerous situation, but I was trained to do what I was doing. So I had to look on the positive side of everything. Okay. I'm still alive. Yes. There are worse situations than mine. There are worse people than me. So I have to take action on my side and say, you know what, let me just go without being told by anyone. You are looking around, you see people with no limbs, and they still continue. I'm lucky because even my doctor told me, David, you know what, Kekeletso, we could have decided to amputate, but we need to save as much as we can, and I was happy for that.
Now, just running us through some of the injuries, because perhaps we're just focusing on the hands for now,
right.
But tell us the extent of your injuries. Where were you injured?
Both hands, as you can see.
Yes.
And the flesh that you are seeing here is actually a foreign flesh, if I may call it. It was taken somewhere on my body so that they can patch it because the whole flesh was bent out.
Oh my goodness.
I could see the muscles, I could see my bones and everything. And for me, it was traumatizing on its own. But the doctor said, just have a look at it. Just have a look at the injuries that you sustained. And it will stay in your mind. And it stayed in my mind. And the doctor said, we will do our best. Don't worry, we will find a flap somewhere so that we can close that portion. And at some stage, I couldn't move my fingers. As you can see, I cannot move my fingers on that because of the severity of the injury.
Correct.
They had to take some tendons on my calves, and they said, you know what, let us replace whatever we can replace so that at least we must have movement because you are right-handed. Let us help the remaining fingers. And they did that. And time and again, when I go for a physiotherapy, a tendon will snap. And when it snaps, it's painful because I know I had to go back again. And an operation, most of the operations that I did by that time was between 6 and 12 hours. You must understand, it's a very long time, almost half a day to do an operation. Now, for me, it was heartbreaking. I saw what I was putting myself through. And I said, it does not have to, it shouldn't have happened to me because it happened, but I didn't follow rules and regulations.
Yeah.
So the doctor was trying everything in his power to save whatever limb he had to save. And they had to take, as I mentioned, tendons from there, put them there, go for physiotherapy, and it snapped. And that...
And the broken leg, did that remain?
When I fell, and it was about 7 to 8 meters above ground. When I fell, I am fortunate to have not fallen onto my neck, broken neck. I fell onto my hip. And then I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. My leg was suspended. For the next 4 months, I couldn't move. I was there in the hospital, lying there, asking myself questions, what happened? And the doctor said, we're going to save whatever we have to save. And they put a pin, a 30 centimeter pin into my hip so that it can balance. And it took me years before I could move, just to move my legs. And it was traumatizing for me because now and then, when everyone was gone, I would sit down, look at my photos before, and say, this is how I brought to myself. I was like this. I was eager to do anything as a young person, and look at what happened to me because I did not follow strict rules and regulations. That I understood.
Now, people at work, when you now say, "Ke batla go boya," what was their reaction? Because, for me, it's very normal for a company to say, he's now lost this, he's now not this which he was before, so perhaps even his delivery won't work for us. Thank you for your service. What made them take you back?
Thanks for the question. It was very difficult. As I said, it was also very difficult for my colleagues because yes, I could see some of them will say, now he's just passing time. Sooner or later, his papers will be fixed and he will be gone. And I could feel that. But I had, at some stage, a good supervisor who said to me, you know what, take your time. Take your time. And my manager would say, take your time, do whatever you have to do. Go to physiotherapy as much as we can. We will provide transport. We will do anything that we need to do in order to help. And I was very thankful. That small little gesture that my supervisor did, brought so much in me.
That it pushed you to the next level. It
pushed me to the next. You know what? Let me just do 1, 2,
hold
and 3.
it there, Tate Kekeletso. We'll definitely be back just after this. Welcome back to Soul Therapy, and if you've just joined us, where have you been? Because we've been sharing 2 very inspirational stories of men whose lives changed, and when they changed for the worse, but they chose to look at the positive and say, even if impilo itata, it's hard, ngesizulu bathi inzima, they decided to look at the positive of life. Let's welcome them back. Ubabu Kekeletso together with Ubabu Wandile. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now, before the break, Nerbual Ntate Kekeletso with regards to, the things that inspire him, that get him out of bed. And he spoke to the fact that he knows of people who are in a worse off situation. And that inspired him to want to transform and face life with a positive light. Now, Babu Wandile, you spoke to an incident that happened when you were in hospital, which then made you look at life more positively.
In most cases, people will get affected by the choices we make. For instance, the time I was in hospital after I lost my leg, the situation was difficult for me. It was really a difficult situation. But what inspired me the most was another patient who came after me, whom I was told that he lost his arms and his legs. It was just the upper body. And what made it to be worse is that Ufike especially after me, but he got discharged after me.
Before you?
Before me, before I could even discharge, I could be discharged. And I asked myself the question, why? I mean, he lost his leg and his arms, and I think his situation is far worse than mine. I think I'm better off compared to his case. Because I don't have eyes and arms, but still, how is he going to survive in life if and then he got discharged, especially just before me. And I said to myself, I think I'm the one who's got a problem here. Let me try and change my attitude and try to comply with whatever that has been given to me by Abandos Velel. And that really inspired me because a week later, I got discharged because I had to change my attitude. and said, no man, I think the problem lies on me. I mean, I feel pity for myself, and this is not going to take me anyway. So why am I not standing up on this bed and go to wherever I want to be?
And have you
Because
noticed,
my land
Uti,
does not belong as bed.
have you noticed, Uti, when you feel pity for yourself, the world will react the way you are reacting.
Absolutely.
So if you have pity, the world will pity you
Will
as
pity
well.
me worse
But
than
if you
myself.
say, I am strong, I will stand up, the world will support you in order to stand up and be strong.
That's what
Now let's come to Babu Kekeletso, you know, where we speak to the fact that, you know, you inspire me in that day, you know, just on anything you say, simply for the fact that your attitude alone towards life is one which will make people presidents, it will make kids pass at school, it will make the destitute become prosperous. Let's talk to the fact that not only did you go back to work, but you wanted to take on more challenges. Explain that to us.
By that time, I could only work up until a certain voltage, which was, by that time, it was 22,000 volts. And it is very difficult. It is very difficult, but you have to stand up at some stage and say, you know what, I haven't fulfilled anything that I thought I will fulfill in this company. So I went over after a certain time, you know, being authorized to a next level of voltage. Say, I'm authorized up until 132,000 volts now.
Now, while you're there,
person-
so that someone who's watching us gets a clear understanding, when we speak about this voltage, re bua ka matla ka kanang.
It means I can switch off a town. I can switch it off on my own.
An entire town.
An entire town, yes.
Wow.
It means I can switch off an entire town or a section of a town or a mine for that matter because of the high voltage that we have.
Wow.
Now, as a person, within a company or within everywhere where you are, there are some dreams that we have. You know, I want to be in this position at some stage of this company. And then when something like this happens, you think that is retarding your progress, that is restricting you towards achieving your dreams.
Yes.
And I said, you know what, let me just go out there and forget that I had some restrictions within my body and do the best that I can. Fortunately, everyone around me was very supportive at some stage because of what I said to myself.
Correct.
Not because someone said, of what I said to myself that I'm going to be the best and I'm going to do the best that I can with my limitations. Unfortunately, those limitations became my stronger points because I had to do things the other way around. And I changed my attitude, as in that day Wandiles mentioned. You change your attitude and it benefits you more than anyone else.
Correct.
And it will be a reflection of what you as a person has done to yourself. What you see on anyone else will be a true reflection of how you feel. So I felt better and it changed everyone around. So everyone doesn't know and does not realize that Kekeletso doesn't have fingers because they look at me, they say, oh man, he's just Kekeletso Selepe and it's fine.
That's the end of it.
Yes.
You know, we bring some of these negative elements towards ourselves, you know, and Babu Wandile, you know, bringing you in on this. Gentlemen, both of you sitting here, I'm sure on a day-to-day basis, one person's story inspires the other. When you walked in here, Ntate Kekeletso, you met Ntate Wandile for the first time.
Correct.
Now you obviously are hearing his story. And I'm sure there's a few things that you can perhaps take out of his story to say, this is what inspired me. But now Babu Wandile, I'm sure listening to his stories about Kekeletso, the same is happening. Now I just want, gentlemen, just for our viewers, try to inspire them to say, Guti, what have you picked up from each other's stories while trying to inspire someone ekhaya? Singaqala ngawo Babu Wandile.
I always have this thing in mind about you, that whatever happens to you, don't pity yourself. Because there are some people who are worse than wena, who are in a situation worse than yours. And I'm listening to Isto Discover. I mean, if it was me, I don't think I would have had the courage that he's having. I mean, maybe I could have been somewhere or whatever. But because of what he said, and then I've realized that whatever that I've made and whatever that pushes me, I think him and I are on the same caliber. Because how is it going to help you to sit back and say, I pity myself, I don't have eyes, I don't have leg, and then what is going to happen tomorrow? Because life goes on at the end of the day. I mean, whatever happens to you is not the end of the road.
Correct.
Life should go on.
So, you know, the same question I'm posing definitely to you.
I had an understanding of the, when I asked him, that one day, how are you doing? I said, no, I'm doing fine. And because I was briefed that he was going to, we are going to be in the same interview with him. And he mentioned everything, not actually everything. And he mentioned that he traveled all the way from Johannesburg, somewhere in Johannesburg, to come here. And I said, who brought you here? I said, no, I came public transport. And I said, you know what? I'm sitting here in my corner and saying, you know what, I cannot do this, I cannot handle this, I cannot drive, I cannot do it. But this gentleman came all the way from Johannesburg, on public transport. This studio is in a very awkward position, but he managed to come here. Now, who am I to blame when there are worse people around me, people who are, who are doing it, irrespective of what the circumstances are, and they made it. Traveling all the way from, I can imagine how many taxis he has to climb on to come here to Soweto. It's you can just imagine that. That is an inspiration on its own.
Yeah, gentlemen, time is always the enemy. I was really hoping we'll also get a chance to obviously give our viewers some tips out there, but hopefully we'll be putting some up so that people can read some of the things that you had to share with us when it comes to AMA safety tips. Emakaya, as often, this time of the show, this is where we encourage you, this is where we inspire you, hence we call it words of inspiration. But namhlanje siyahluka kancane. Sithi, let's allow one of our guests who has prepared something to inspire you. Ubabu Wandile, here he is.
As you have said, Budi, I lost my eye through the gunshot and I lost my leg because I just bypassed. But that didn't stop me to go on with my life. And here am I today, a studio. I'm talking to you viewers out there that life does not end where you are. Take whatever that comes your way and accept it as it comes, and try to make a fortune out of whatever you get. I'm here today, a studio, because of my disability. If I was normal, I wouldn't have been sitting in the studio today. So whatever happens to you, try to make a use of it.
Thank you very much, Baba. And Nemenkaya always say, he's saying he's here today because of his disability, meaning he's seeing the positive. It is through the disability, which was a bad thing, but it has landed him here to fulfill his dream of speaking to you, fulfill his dream of encouraging you. Both these gentlemen that we had here today are definitely words and inspiration to live by on a daily basis. Babu Kekeletso, his contact details were up on the screen. I certainly hope you will contact him should you need somebody to speak to, give you an ear, and perhaps the advice. Babu Wandile, the same. He's one person who's saying, I am here, I want to share my story, I want to inspire you, but kakulu, I want to remove you from a place of thinking negative to thinking positive. Ikamalamu Pilika Ipembe, and every week we try to transform Impilo Yako with the team, Your Soul Therapy. I thank you, we'll see you next time once again.